I don't want to see a men's nipple ever. If I am not allowed to have my nipples out, then why do they get to have theirs? Put your nipples away.
Yeah.
Especially if your name is Matt. Not my husband, Matt. Matt, who's messing around with Jasmine.
Listener discretion advised. Adult language and mature content.
Welcome, everybody. It's another episode of Two Queens, One Screen. I'm Jen.
I'm Keeley.
Welcome back. We're so excited to have you all here with us. And if you're new, Keeley and I we're best friends. At least she's my best friend. And she's also my aunt. And we really are the most connected on our love of reality TV and true crime and gossip and shit talking. I think that's right. That's our favorite things. So.
And this is episode 13. Can you believe that?
Is it really?
Yep.
Holy moly. We are just speeding through these.
Lucky 13.
We are already profesh, and we're doing so well.
This week is what? Valentine's Day?
It is Valentine's Day. Do you have fun plans?
Oh, God, no. No, we don't do a lot for Valentine's Day. Steve is very sweet. He will, send flowers to work or candy or something like that. He is very sweet or kind. We might go out to dinner or something this, for Valentine's Day, but we don't do a whole lot. I've never really thought Valentine's Day was a huge holiday. I'm just not one of those girls, right? I don't think it's diamonds and all of that. What about you?
I would say Matt's very similar to Steve
in
that he is very sweet. I'll probably get flowers. We said no gifts, but I did buy him a little present, but it's not coming until Monday. But then he found out that I did get him a gift, so I am going to get a present, which I think is going to be a betta fish for my new fish tank, or actually several, I'm hoping. And then we'll go out to dinner. We're doing a family Valentine's Day for actual Valentine's Day. We're all going to see Paddington, the new Paddington movie in the theater. And, maybe I'll get some chocolate, but I wanted to talk about sweet treats because I have a new deep obsession. I've had 2 of these containers. Containers? I've had
containers, everybody, not
I don't know.
Singles.
No. There's a new Oreo that's out. You know how Oreo has different flavors that come in and out? And mostly I don't care. Growing up, my mom was a Nabisco rep. And so we always had damaged packages of different Nabisco products. So I was like Oreo'd out by the time I was 11. Like I just wasn't into it. I really never loved Oreos since. But we get them. The boys like them. Mm-hmm. But we tried out this new flavor, which is the Post Malone Oreos. And they are, one cookie is the classic chocolate Oreo. The other cookie is the vanilla Oreo. And sandwiched between is a salted caramel and shortbread flavored swirl cream.
Yum.
And I have had almost 2 full packages in the last week. I was eating healthy. I wasn't calorie counting, but I was like trying to be in a deficit in a thoughtful way. It is all out the window. I can't stop eating them. I don't know anything about Post Malone other than I saw an interview with him once where he was talking about how much he loved Dolly Parton, which I thought was delightful. Then I know about these cookies. And other than Matt, I've never loved someone so much in my life. These cookies are so fucking good. I sent a text to my dad and I was like, Dad, you need to go buy these tomorrow. I hope that he did. I hope that he did what I took my advice. But you were starting to tell me, you actually know more about Post Malone that's actually super interesting.
Did you know that he was in the music business at least?
Yeah, I knew that he was like a singer or a rapper, but I genuinely could not name a single Post Malone song.
Okay.
Because while I thought I was cool and hip, I am not. I am almost 40. I listen to the music that I listen to
yes.
post-college age, and that's that's as far as, and then I stopped. And so I just live in the early mid 2000s.
No, I enjoy Post Malone music. I enjoy Post Malone as a human being, period. And I was beginning to tell you about Post Malone. So Post Malone is LDS. He's obviously not practicing LDS anymore because he is in the rap game and now is doing country music. So he was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. His last name is Post. His first name is Austin, but he got the Malone from Karl Malone from Utah Jazz. So that's how he came up with his name Post Malone, because his actual last name is Post. And then he moved to Texas, and he's everything Texas, Dallas Cowboys. So he loves everything Texas. He just released a country album, which is lovely. I enjoy it quite a bit. When he was doing rap music, I introduced all those songs to my husband, Steve, and he enjoyed them quite a lot. So I started liking and listening to Post Malone because I love everything ghosts. A couple weeks ago when we were talking about ghost stories, ghosts and witches, we were going to tell a couple of ghost stories and we never followed up. That being said,
my bad.
Post Malone was on a show that I watched called Ghost Adventures, and you have not heard of it, and that's okay. If you have not, everybody, it is a show on Discovery Channel. It is a group of friends. The main guy, his name is Zach Bagans. He and his friends are like paranormal investigators, right? They go into someone's house or an abandoned warehouse, right? And they have all these instruments and try and capture, right, video or evidence of ghosts. That's how this show is. A lot of paranormal shows out there. So Post Malone, they went to Salt Lake and went into a warehouse, and Post Malone, Zach Bagans, and Post Malone are friends.
Oh, okay.
And I watched the episode with Post Malone on it and fell in love with this man. He is the sweetest, kindest, most generous person. I just heart him all over the place and just Googled the shit out of him and started listening to his music because I loved him on that episode. And that's how I found him. And it was, I don't know, many seasons ago on this show is how I came across Post Malone. That's a little background for him, for you. If you don't know anything about Post Malone, but I had no idea he came out with these Oreo cookies. You showed me the cookie box and I said, what the heck is that?
Just
I've never seen them before.
If you are listening to us right now, hit pause, get into your car, connect your podcast to your Bluetooth in the car and listen to us some more. Drive to your local grocery store. I don't know if it's Albertsons. I don't know if it's Publix. I don't care. Go to the grocery store, go to Target, get these Post Malone Oreos, and then also mail another pack to me because if I keep buying them, it's bad. Like, I haven't had an issue with cookies since, like, Girl Scout cookies. It's Girl Scout cookie season 2 right now.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Not even tempted because I'm overwhelmed with Post Malone cookies.
They sound delightful.
They're so effing good. They're so good.
Of course they are. They're Post Malone cookies. Come on.
So I want you to tell us a ghost story. And would Post Malone enjoy going through that ghost experience with you?
Probably. So my parents have a house in New York. This was many years ago. Let's see, my daughter is 29, so this is quite a long time ago. They live in upstate New York. It was a little village in Fairhaven, right outside of Rochester. This home was a funeral home before they moved in. So check that box for already having ghosts in there because there's, dead bodies before. And come to find out, my parents told me that this home was used in the Underground Railroad.
Oh.
If you can believe it. And I didn't believe them. And they showed me in their basement. So their basement was unfinished. And I went down there and there's a hole the size of a door, huge hole. It was open. They had this piece of wood that was covered and you could see through it where people would use it for anyway, crazy.
That's very cool.
I know. Anyway, very important home. So yeah. So we were there visiting. My daughter was very young, and they had, I think, 3 bathrooms in this home. I was in one of the bathrooms that was underneath one of the stairs. So it was a very small bathroom, very low ceiling. It was just a half bath with a sink and a toilet. And my sister was with us, and she had her many children with them upstairs. There was 3 levels of this house. They were upstairs on the 3rd level. I was on the main level. My parents were on the other side of where I was watching television. I was using the bathroom, and I could hear my name being shouted. My name just being shouted. And so I shouted, "Just a minute," back. I'm using the bathroom. My name was being shouted again. I said, "Just a minute." I'm using the bathroom. 3rd time, my name was being shouted. And I'm talking being screamed. And it sounded like a woman. And I thought it was my sister calling from the 3rd floor. It was very loud. And I thought, what in the hell does she need? So finished using the bathroom. I came out, went upstairs to the 3rd floor. And my sister is in bed. She's got her 3 kids asleep next to her. And I burst into the room. And I said, "What do you want?" Just as loud as the day is long. And she's like, "Shut up. What are you talking about?" I said, "You screamed my name 3 times. What do you want?" She said, "First of all, be quiet. Second of all, no, I didn't." And I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "I've been sitting here. The kids are asleep. I'm reading my book. I did not shout your name." And I said, "Yes, you did." She goes, "No, I didn't. Move on." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I went back downstairs. I went to the room that was on the other side of where I was, and my parents were watching TV. And I said, asked my parents, I said, "Did you guys need me?" And they're like, "No, what are you talking about?" I said, "Somebody shouted my name." And they said, No. And I said, "I was just in the bathroom on the other side of the wall. Somebody screamed my name." And Mom said, "No." I said, "You didn't hear that." And Mom goes, "Oh," like that. And I said, what does that mean? "Oh." And she goes, "Oh, well." And I said, "Well, what? You need to finish that story." And she says, "Well, Sarah's trying to get a hold of you. Apparently she wants to talk to you." I said, "Who is Sarah? And what are you talking about?" And she said, "Oh, well, apparently Sarah wants to talk to you. She seems to think that you'll respond back to her." And I said, "Who is Sarah? And what are you talking about?" And she goes, "Oh, Sarah lives here." I said, "No, she doesn't." She goes, "Yeah, Sarah's a ghost and she lives here." And Dad goes, "Yeah, she lives here. I've seen her. She likes to watch me from the other side." So they had a screen door from the room that they were in to the outside. And she goes, "She stands outside and watches me through the screen door while we watch TV in here." I said, "Are you effing kidding me?" And they're like, "No, she just stands there and watches us through the screen door." And I said, "Oh my God." And so that night, before I went to bed, I got in the shower and I heard my name again. And I looked out from the shower curtain, and she was in the mirror looking at me. She was standing in the mirror. So I just saw from the waist up. She was blonde and had long hair, and she was wearing kind of like a night dress inside the mirror looking at me. And I hurried and closed the curtain to the shower. I was very scared, taking my shower, and waited in there for a really long time, got out, and she wasn't in the mirror anymore. And I went and told my mom, and my mom's like, "Yeah, she really wants to talk to you for some reason." And I said, "Mom, I cannot sleep in this house." And she's like, "She's not scary. It's completely fine." I said, "What does she want me to do?" And she's like, "She just wants to talk to you." And I said, "Mom, I don't know how to talk to her. What does she want?" And she's like, I don't know, honey. I don't know. And I looked at my dad and I said, "Has she ever talked to you?" And he goes, "No, she just watches me. She doesn't talk to me. She's never called out my name." And I said, oh, great. We were there for a week. She didn't appear to me or talk to me after that day while we were in the house again. But I Yeah, I was very scared in that house, but my parents were very calm and very fine being in that house and just kind of living
almost blasé
with
about this ghost.
Living with her. There was more ghosts in the house. There was a gentleman with a top hat that they said lived in the house. He was kind of mischievous. He would move things around, open cupboards, open doors, try and knock things around for them to fall or run into. He didn't like them. That house was quite haunted. But I am telling you, just really like you and I are talking is how loud I heard her scream my name. And I was convinced that it was my sister calling me. And when I saw her in the mirror, I thought, oh, this is, yeah.
When do you think she died?
I have no idea. Her nightgown looked, I want to say it was pretty old, maybe early 1900s. I want to say it was one of those shift. You know what I'm talking about?
Like a shift? Yeah.
A shift. Yeah, one of those nightgowns.
That's cool. I have not experienced a ghost. I want to, but I haven't. Yeah. I'm open to it. My house was built in the early 80s. As far as I know, no one has died here. So not that lucky. But if anyone has a haunted house and wants to invite me, I will come. And apparently so will Post Malone. Oh my gosh. We got to figure out how to hook that up.
Yeah.
And get some more cookies. Steve needs to go to every store until he finds you these cookies. Because he's a good husband.
He is. He would find them for me if he tried.
Do you want to transition into some bad husbands?
Yes. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. We are talking 90 Day Fiancé Last Resort. And last episode we talked about was kind of a doozy. There were some big revelations, some hard hitters. I feel like this episode, not so much. Not as intense, maybe.
No. I have a lot to say. This is episode 11. They named it Last Blow. I have a lot to say about these people.
This episode. Blow.
Maybe because Rob blew up. I don't know. Who knows?
You lost a real one. I'm going to say, as a listener, you may get whiplash because I am all over the place with my feelings on people. Everything has gotten whipped around. I'm kind of on someone's side, and then I'm definitely not anymore, and then I'm kind of on, and I don't even know anymore. It's too complicated. It's too fucked up. Nobody's good. Nobody's bad. So where do we start? I guess we start with Julia and Brandon.
Ooh, okay. Let's do it.
Our male apologist therapist takes Julia's, what's her name? Sarah. She is not the ghost, but she's also a little creepy. She takes Julia and Brandon in the morning to go have a talk about how Julia came out with that information. In between the sheets, it's interesting because Brandon is still, to this day, really wrestling with, did he want to know that? Was it selfish of Julia to tell him? And I think you're pretty firmly in team, just tell him. This is therapy. It's the safe. Is that what you would say your assessment is?
I think so, because either way, he's going to be upset. If she doesn't tell him and he finds out, he's going to be upset. She tells him right now, he's going to be upset. So, yeah.
I think she sees how much she's hurt him, and I think she's trying to be respectful of that. And I think they're both being very aware of, all right, he's going to need some time to recover from this. This is all new information from him. One of the things that I thought was so odd about this is in between the sheets, as he's like, I really wish I would never have known. This is just like, and then he brings up another guy that Julia had told him about, that she worked at a resort with, and that she was spending a lot of time with. This is, again, before the K-1 visa went through. Julia explains, very similar to how Rob will defend himself, in that we didn't know if this K-1 visa was going to go through. We didn't know if we were ever going to actually be together again. It was this weird limbo where I basically continued to play the field. I think she even says she didn't take the relationship really, really seriously, even though they're engaged, until she moved to the US, and she likes to flirt and she likes to have fun. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like if you are engaged, then you're engaged. Even if you don't know the next steps of how that's going to pan out. I mean, more than we're boyfriend, girlfriend, we're engaged, we're committed. So I was disappointed by her response to that. A lot of it has to do with both of them being way too young and both of them being very naive. What did you think about all that?
Well, I'm pretty upset. I'm pretty upset at her when I find out that there's another guy and possibly more. I'm thinking there's possibly more. I think Brandon infers there's more. I'm upset at her when in between the sheets and she's talking to Sophie and saying, does Brandon know what happened? And she says, he doesn't know what happened. Sophie says, does he want to know what happened? Julia says, I don't know if he wants to know what happened. She's smiling and kind of giggling the whole time. I don't love it. She's not taking it seriously. She's not upset about it. She's not sorry about it. And then in the show, she admits to being a flirt. In the show, she says, me. I just want to have this release. I just want to get it off my chest. I'm upset about it. I'm carrying all of this weight around it. Not once did she say, I'm hurting Brandon. I'm upset. I don't want you to be hurt. Not once did she acknowledge anything about him, anything about his feelings.
Or take accountability.
100%.
I did this. And this is something, she was like, well, it's toxicity in our relationship. No, you going and probably hooking up with this other guy. You talking about getting back together with your ex-boyfriend when you're engaged to Brandon. That's not toxicity in our relationship. Those are bad choices that you made. And I was so disappointed in how she took no accountability. And I love Julia. I have been Team Julia this whole time. And that conversation with the therapist, I was so disappointed. And I think Brandon is moving through it the best that he can in this. Unless she can take accountability, how do they move forward?
I am really upset at her. And I completely understand. I'm starting to understand why Brandon had that huge reaction and ripped her down off of that bar when she was dancing the way she was dancing, because he knows all of this about her. I'm completely starting to understand that feeling that he had. She's slightly a little bit of a narcissist. She really, I don't think wants to change any of her behaviors, wants to take, like you said, ability for anything, and wants to do all of these things and still just be able to get away with it, right? And just say all of this stuff to him. Look, I did A, B, C, A through Z, and he just has to deal with it, and she can just keep doing these. That's the vibe I'm getting from her. I'm just really not happy with her. I'm getting upset. I'm not on her side. I'm starting to not be on her side anymore. And when Ari said that Julia needs male attention, I'm starting to believe that shit.
Really?
Yeah.
In that moment, Ari was just lashing out, but I am questioning where she's at, because in that moment, we'll talk about it, everyone shit on Ari for having a big emotional response to something. And then she's like, well, let's put on a show with Benny to get, and it was like, someone's having like a moment and you're switching the attention to yourself in a way that's trying to make everything lighthearted. That's not the time.
No.
I am disappointed in her. I hope that she sees this a little bit, although that's kind of the biggest chunk of them that we saw. I don't have high hopes. I don't know how much time we have left at this resort, but the little sneak peeks that we get, they are going to have a group therapy with his parents, and it doesn't look like it goes well. I don't know how we're going to move forward in this. I'm really questioning it. I thought we were going to be okay when they had the conversation about her fear of infertility. Now I feel like that doesn't even matter now.
Right. Exactly. I just feel like she thinks that she can just get away with all of these behaviors because he's really not going to do anything about it, because he's just riddled with anxiety all the time and he's too nice of a person. to do anything about it.
Well, I think he's just too timid. When he sits there, they say it's like reactive abuse. He sits there and he's taking it and taking it and taking it. And then he has these explosions at her where you're like, you're flying off the handle, dude.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that happening between them until now.
Yeah. We didn't understand it until now.
Sarah, the therapist, asks him, do you think that this is something that you can move through? He's had less than 12 hours to process this. I don't know if that's a fair question right now.
Right. But that's her being a male apologist also, right? Massaging him. Like I said, I'm not really on Julia's side right now, but that's her leading. She's leading the question so she can get her answer that she wants. That's what she's doing when she's doing that, when she's asking him that question. And so he's second guessing himself. But when Ari did that about the male attention, I'm remembering all the other episodes when Julia was doing the flip with Benny when they were at breakfast. She's doing all the dancing and all of those things. She's the one doing all of these things with all the guys. Nobody else is doing it.
I had really chalked it up to her just being an entertainer, wanting to be the life of the party. Unless she's with the girls, like very specifically where they do the teams, because it just keeps happening where it becomes the boys' team and the girls' team. So much so in this episode. I really thought it was just in general she was trying to do that. I'm looking at it through a different lens now, and I don't know how fair that is. I was disappointed by her lack of ability to take accountability. When Sophie says, I want to know what you did with the guy at the resort. And she's like, I'll tell you off camera. And they're giving little sneaky little smiles. It was like, that's gross.
She's not sorry. She's not embarrassed. Nothing. It was, I didn't like it. I thought it was really gross. And then when Sarah was asking both of them to have empathy, to validate each other's feelings, I don't think that Julia can do that at all for Brandon.
No, it doesn't seem like she's recognizing. She's missed the whole point of the last 24 hours of therapy. Like, she's just not getting it. They end up getting interrupted. Yeah. Because back at the fire pit where everyone's having breakfast, Sophie, with the support / direction of Jasmine, goes and confronts Rob about Rob being on these dating apps, Rob messaging women while they're on this retreat, and Rob loses his shit and is screaming at her, prove it, what are you talking about? I haven't been on that in forever. I can't even log into that dating profile. I'm not active. You told me I could do this. This is one of those things where I think everybody's the asshole. I think Sophie sucks, and I think Sophie sucks because of her own immaturity in a lot of this. And I think Rob sucks for all of the reasons that are so obvious. The stories are so confusing and conflicting. Rob claims he hasn't been messaging these women. Sophie's friend sent her a screenshot of Rob's open, active dating profile. He says it's not an active profile. We never see it, so who knows? And in between the sheets, we don't really get a straight answer. Is it actually active? He says he hasn't had access to that dating profile in like 2 years because he was posing in one of the pictures with his hands, and his hands were situated accidentally over his balls and their fists, and so they look like balls, and so AI would think that that was a nude photo or something. He's like, it got flagged and then I couldn't get into it anymore. I don't feel like that's the way it works, but also Keeley and I have not ever been on the apps. I've never been on a dating app. Have you?
Nope.
I met my husband on MySpace. That's how long ago. So I missed out on all of this. So I assume that's probably not how it works, but also who knows? Then he says, that's when you said I was allowed to do this. And she goes, I've never said that to you. And he pulls out his phone and he's like searching. He's like, no, I've got proof that she said I could do this. And he's searching and searching and searching. And then he finds the text message that says, as of March 3rd or something, maybe 2024, who knows? But like a year ago, we are on a break and you can conduct yourself as if you are single and I will not hold it against you. And so hearing that, you're like, you gave him a green light. This is weird. What? Who does that? If you are married, you don't take a break. You are separated or you are married. There is a clear difference to those things. He's showing the text message to the guys. The guys take it over to the group and they're like, look at this. But they're all screaming at each other. Therapist Sarah has to separate the group to calm everything down and sort things out. Rob pulls up that text. Then he's running around ranting and raving, and he looks insane just running around the desert, yelling about her mom and how her mom's a crackhead. He said that he felt reckless at that point. He didn't care, just wants to just let it all out however he feels. He doesn't care about the consequences of it. At that point, what did you think? Like, watching just the show, not having seen the behind the sheets yet, what did you think?
What I took away was, one, he's completely screaming and his reaction is gigantic. Mm-hmm. And she's just sitting there keeping her cool and not yelling back at him and not calling him names and not having a gigantic reaction. And every time he asks her something, she answers it. She doesn't raise her voice at all. He, on the other hand, cannot keep still, cannot sit still, and she sits still the entire time. I'm thinking to myself, I'm a mom, right? And if I have 2 kids and I come in the room and I'm trying to figure out, I don't know what happened. Something's broken, right? Somebody colored on something or painted on something or something is wrong. Mm-hmm. And I ask my 2 kids, who did it? What happened? One person is screaming and yelling around the room and cannot sit still. And the other person is calm and is like, I didn't do that. I don't know what happened. Who am I going to believe? The one that is screaming and running around the room and cannot sit still, or the one that is calm? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking the entire time. He looks guilty as fuck, running around and screaming and talking to her terribly. Mm-hmm. She's just like, nope, that's not how it worked. Nope, I never said that. Nope, that's not when the dating app was. She's completely confident in all of her responses. She's not calling him any names. She's not raising her voice at all. She completely keeps her cool. She's sitting still. He, on the other hand, is doing the complete opposite of all of those things.
Like pinball. Like he was just here, just
that's what I noticed the entire time, right? If you don't watch between the sheets, I'm like, he looks guilty as shit. Right. Completely guilty.
So the next part, when they're talking about it in between the sheets, she starts to explain. Rob talks about how women in the United States take advantage of men in divorce and get the upper hand in divorce. They end up on top every time, and men are screwed. Have not been divorced, but I've seen several. Just going to throw out there, if someone wants to be shitty to the other person in the divorce, then they're going to be able to do it, and it doesn't matter the gender. The anecdotal what I've seen. I can totally see Rob saying that. Is that true? Sometimes you're in courts. You don't get to see divorces, though, do you? At work?
Well, I did see and work in divorces about 10 years ago, and that's exactly what happened. So, yes, one side can absolutely be shittier to the other side and use everything they have against the other person. And typically, the woman will want alimony or take all the assets or want the house, want the car, because they want to have full custody of the kids. And the husband or the father will get weekends with the kids or however it is. A lot of times the courts want to give custody to the mother, and the mother obviously thinks that they deserve to have full custody. And a lot of courts will do that. Some courts will say, no, the father gets 50-50, right? The kids will 1 week here, 1 week there kind of thing. So Sophie's not wrong when she says in America, the women or the mother will get more than the man or the father. She says that Rob is nervous. He has every right to be nervous. They're talking about alimony. They're talking about support. They're talking about taking the home or the car or their assets or whatever. And she says he didn't have anything. He didn't have any money. And she's like, you don't have anything. I'm not going to take anything. And so, to answer your question, yes, that does happen. And I have been divorced, so I know how that works.
You've been through that process.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He has such convictions that he's going to be such a victim in their divorce.
Yeah.
And she claims that she said, I want to be on a break. And he said, well, if we go on a break and then I'm single, then you're going to come after me. And she's like, no, I'm not going to. I just don't want to do this. What do you need from me that I can show you that I'm not going to come after you? And he said, give me your phone. She says that he sent that text to himself from her phone.
Yes.
I kind of believe it. Do you believe that?
I 100% believe that.
It seems right. And then she said we were on a break for a few months, and then we got back together and decided to start working on our relationship. And she's like, and then this happened outside that period of time. Therefore, you were not okay. And he's like, no, that's not what this means at all. We have no straight answers about timeline. We have no straight answers about who exactly did what or who said what. If you are married, in my opinion, you don't go on a break.
Right. No.
We're not, we're going to take some time to start seeing other people. Granted, I'm also going to throw out there, I have no negative feelings towards people who choose to live in a polyamorous lifestyle.
Sure.
For people who choose open marriages for themselves. That is a choice that I think you have every right to make. That wouldn't work for me. I'm glad that it works for some people. I haven't really seen huge evidence of success in it. I feel like you only ever hear about the drama of it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it exists out there and good for them. I don't think that that's what their situation is. They're doing mini breakups, which is very high school. This isn't Ross and Rachel from Friends. You two are married.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to her being way too immature to be in this kind of relationship. She was not prepared to be married. I think if she had been fully committed and been emotionally mature enough to be fully in her marriage, maybe it could have gone better. But he also didn't pick someone that was emotionally mature. He's clearly not emotionally mature.
Oh, no.
With his temper tantrums.
No.
So I think they're just destined to fail. They, I think, are on this for the show. This is the last-ditch effort for their marriage. I think their marriage was already over. And I think that she just got tired of having everyone see him in such a great light and then having him say shitty things about her.
Yeah.
And she's like, come at me. I'm going to show everybody.
Yeah.
It's the vibe I got. Not that he isn't being a dick. Not that she hasn't been committed to the marriage.
Yeah.
I just think everybody sucks.
Yeah. And then when Sarah was over there talking to the two of them, makes the other couples leave. That doesn't go well, obviously, because Rob continues to scream at her.
Yeah.
And Sophie doesn't scream back, but she's talking. She's responding to him. And he's obviously not taking it well. And he's screaming and being nasty. And Sarah says, okay, this is not going anywhere. We're just going to take some time apart. We're going to do another session over by the tent. So you guys take some time apart for a minute. And then what does she do? Rob walks away. She follows him and starts rubbing his back. Unbelievable.
That's when he screams, your mom's a crackhead.
Yep.
You lost a real one.
Yep.
You lost a real one. That sets Sophie off. Sophie goes, locks herself in a bathroom, calls her mom, and then has a full-on panic attack.
Oh, man.
And you hear the audio of her trying to get her breathing under control, and she can't. She is a mess. That sucks so hard. Why are you throwing at Sophie the fact that her mother has addiction issues? She can't defend that. That's her mom. She doesn't have any control over anything her mother does. I know he was pissed off, but that was so low and unnecessary. That literally had nothing to do with the fight that you were having right then.
Yeah. And male apologist Sarah describes the entire incident as Sophie's issue, which bothered.
The cause. She called it the cause.
Yeah.
I hope Sarah falls in a well.
Yeah. I just can't. I can't with this therapist. I don't know what rock she crawled out from under, but no, I can't with her.
And just to be additionally petty, what the fuck was she wearing? This like little polyester wiggly
sweater
skirt.
vest.
I mean, no, and then a sweater vest. What are you wearing?
Yeah.
They didn't go together.
No.
It was genuinely distracting to me throughout the episode how weirdly dressed she was. And we just keep seeing more and more of her weird tattoos. On her chest, she has a giant flaming heart.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I don't like that. Because it keeps drawing your eyes down to her boobs, and I don't want to look there ever.
No.
No.
Not when you're a therapist.
No.
Not that therapists can't have tattoos. I don't even think it's unprofessional to have tattoos. I
Sure.
have tattoos. I think tattoos are cool. I just think, like, there are certain settings where it's like, wear a crew neck, your pants, you're a therapist.
Right. Right. Please.
Even if she had been in, like, Lululemon leggings, like, just wear something appropriate for the middle of the desert. She looked like a toddler dressed her.
Right. Right. I was waiting for the wind to pick up and for us to see some shorts or some joggers underneath there. I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen.
I was bothered by everything she did. And wildly distracted in not a good way by her outfit.
And then in the middle of all of this, what do we have going on? Natalie in hysterics, screaming at Josh about her being body shamed.
This is where I said, I'm going to give everyone whiplash. Josh was in the right. He's apologizing for air.
What? What is happening?
He had been telling everyone how he didn't sleep well because he doesn't like being touched when he's trying to sleep. And Natalie kept trying to touch him. She interpreted that as he finds her body disgusting, which he did not say. He's like, I'm a light sleeper. If I get moved around or if people are touching me, I can't sleep well. And she just kept wanting to cuddle and I couldn't. And fair?
Sure.
How do you sleep? How do you and Steve sleep? Are you cuddlers?
Oh, no, I don't want to be touched. I don't. No, we don't cuddle at all. And Steve is like a ball of lava. He is so hot all the time. So I go anywhere near him. Like if we butt up against each other, like our butt cheeks are touching, it's just instant sweat. It's just instant. And we're just like, oh God, I can't move away as quick as possible. I can't. Right? In the morning, we'll cuddle. Like if we wake up, he'll come over and spoon up against me and that's fine. Right? Because we're awake and we're going to get up. But no, we cannot touch each other at all. We have a pillow between us. We do have a body-sized pillow, and we tried to do that, but it just takes up too much room in the bed. So we do have a pillow, but most of the time one of us is hugging it, and then the other one will roll over and hug it. But no, he's so hot that I can't touch anything on him. And that's why, just because he just runs so hot. That's all.
It's funny. I am always cold, so I like to steal Matt's heat. He doesn't mind that. But I can't stand, and I told Matt this the first time he ever spent the night. I was like, hey, because we're very cuddly. We are cuddly people. I fall asleep cuddled into his armpit most nights because I'll fall asleep before him. But I cannot stand, I don't want to breathe your breath. Do not breathe anywhere near my face. We need to be facing different directions or we need to be facing the same direction. Do not ever breathe your breath on me because it's instant rage. Yeah. Get it away. He's like, oh my God, I'll brush my teeth. And I was like, that's not the issue. Yeah. It's warm air. I can't get it away from me. But I like a cuddle. I also have 1,000 cats in this house. And last night I woke up because I was overheated and it's because I had 4 cats at different points on or next to my body.
Oh God.
And I was like, get the fuck out. So yeah, I start out wanting all the cuddles and then in the middle of the night I want none of the cuddles. Mm-hmm. So I'm half and half. I get where Josh is coming from, but also I like a cuddle. So I get Natalie's point too. Mm-hmm. But Josh at no point was shaming her body, but she's screaming that he's gaslighting her and that he's body shaming her. She's got the producers involved. It's hysterical. I mean, she's roped everybody into this. So all of the shit that we've been talking about Josh, and we're like, he makes these things up and he sets her off. Still true. I still think that's true.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Also true. Sometimes she just flies off the handle and you have no idea where it's coming from. So when he's like, I'm apologizing for air. In this actual case, 100%. They're like, just apologize to her and tell her that you didn't mean it. And he's like, I literally didn't say that. So of course I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. And she's like, you apologize to me. apologize now. And he's like on the other side of the parking lot and he's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, fuck you. It was glorious. It made no sense. And everyone around was like, you are insane. You are a crazy person. And he's very calmly like, I don't know. I'm trying to explain it to her. This is why we can't go anywhere. And our sweet boy Florian was like, stop being crazy. We have to walk away.
I love him.
Talk to me about it. I love Florian. I think we're going to be mad at him next week, but right now, he's like everybody's sweet big brother. He's like, Gino, fuck your wife.
Right. Where?
Everyone should be writing letters again. Formal invitations at parties. Natalie, stop being insane.
Yes.
He's apologizing to you. Stop it. He calmed her right down. He kept calling her a sweetheart. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want Florian to call me a sweetheart.
Know.
It's fully just kind and platonic. There's nothing romantic about it. But he just keeps calling her an angel and sweetheart. And I was like, I love it. I just want him to talk to me like that.
I know. And I think she responds well and listens to him while he screams at her and tells her to be quiet and shut up because he's Eastern European also. And I think she's like, okay with that.
It's weird how he's yelling at her.
Yeah.
Telling her to stop being crazy, telling her to shut up. And yet the whole time, the overall tone is, I care about you. Yeah. I'm here for you. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
Stop this. You're being crazy, you idiot.
Yeah. And then he walks her back. I'll be your lawyer. I'll talk for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that so much.
And then he gets them both to apologize to each other. He's like, great. And he pushes them together to hug. Natalie knees Josh in the balls.
Well.
Allegedly.
There's that.
But what else can we expect from her? So it was actually a nice, like, comic relief to the whole thing. Then they all get together for this new last session. Therapist Sarah is going to clear their negative energies out. And they're all going to do this physical thing to push out all their negative energy. So you're squatting and you're creating a ball of energy in your hands and you're pushing it away and doing a breathing technique. And it's really moving your body around and getting all of that energy flowing so you can release the negative energy. The women, totally into it. Except for maybe Sophie.
Yeah.
And the men, total joke to them. It looks like Florian was doing like a hula dance.
Yeah.
And he was just giggling at watching everyone else do it. He's not buying into this therapy at all.
No.
But as they're doing it and following along with therapist Sarah, Ari gets very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
She's stressed out. There's been too much conflict. Really triggered by how everyone in the fight in the morning has jumped to the defense of Sophie in a way that they did not jump to Ari's defense. I'm going through almost the same thing. I'm very triggered watching her go through this. You all know that I've gone through the same thing, and yet no one is coming and surrounding me with support in the way that they are doing that for Sophie.
Yeah.
I think that she was definitely very triggered. I can 100% see why. I think that she directed that a little bit at the wrong person. She went after Julia, and she's like, you sat there and you just lit into Rob, and you haven't bothered, you're just best friends with Benny. Julia's like, I literally was nowhere near. I was literally up having a conversation with the therapist. I was not there for any of this. That's where she goes, I see you. I see how you need all this male attention. Brandon, you know that this is true. She had a lot bent up and was just throwing it. And I think we've all done that. It just went in the wrong directions. She walks off. I don't think that she was totally wrong, because when she walks off, no one followed her other than the therapist a few minutes later. Benny and Julia start making jokes, doing Michael Jackson dances together. Benny's teaching her moves. They're putting on a show for everyone when his wife just had a full fucking meltdown and he had no interest in going. He's like, well, when she's like this, I've just found it's better to let her go and calm down and come back when she's rational. I think that was honestly a really good thing that happened, that he just continued to not do anything and not give a shit, because it seemed like that was the first time that Ari was like, he's not going to give a shit. He is checked out. He does not give a shit about me. in this at all. I think that's a shitty feeling. I'm sure that felt terrible, but it seemed like an aha moment for her for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that sense?
No, I agree. I noticed a lot. And I think you're right. I think she did finally notice that he wasn't going to check on her at all. And he didn't care at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just going to just try and be the good guy with everybody. But my thing was, in the show, they just show her run away. They show the group kind of roll their eyes and go, oh, Ari just wants attention. Then they cut to her coming back. And then they cut to her having the problem, Sarah yelling at her, and then she leave. I just have a gigantic problem. I'm gonna be on Ari's side till I'm dead, and I know you're not, and that's okay. And I know a lot of people aren't, and that's okay.
Starting to be,
and that's okay.
I am starting to be.
Here's my thing. No one asks Ari anything. No one asks her what she feels. No one asks her what the problem is. No one asks her why she left. Why did you leave? Because everybody just rolls their eyes and says, oh, she just wants attention. Maybe there's a problem. Maybe you should go over and go, what's the problem? Ari said, look, she intellectualizes her feelings. She doesn't want to feel her feelings. I can say I feel like crap or I'm sad today, but I don't want to feel what I feel. She actually said that. If male apologist Sarah came over and said, what is the problem? Maybe Ari could have said that to her. And if the therapist was an actual therapist, maybe she could have helped her through it. But no, she didn't. She didn't help her through it. Ari came back. Ari had her meltdown because no one asked her what she felt, asked her what she was going through. So she had her meltdown because she didn't feel included, because what she saw was everybody huddled around Sophie. Sophie goes, look, I recognize that everybody saw Rob acting like a dick. Nobody has ever seen Benny acting like a dick before. So nobody believes Ari. All they see is Ari acting like a bitch. And Ari pointing the finger at Benny going, look, he sucks, he sucks, he sucks, he sucks. Nobody has ever seen it. But they actually saw Rob acting like a dick. So they believed me and they huddled around me, and they didn't do that for her. And so she feels left out. She feels unsupported. And that is someone that actually has articulated that. And no one has ever done that on the show. And I have been saying that for 13 episodes on this show, that no one has supported Ari. She's been walking around saying, Benny has treated me like shit for 5 years and no one cares. Every single time I say something, no one gives a shit. Everybody judges me, everybody criticizes me, and everybody yells at me, including the fucking therapist. Ari was saying how she felt, and what did the therapist do? She screamed enough at her 4 times. Enough, 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 enough. Are you kidding me? And Ari said, I'm just trying to make a point. I'm not trying to cause anything. And I was so disgusted by the entire time. All Ari wanted to do was have someone ask her what was wrong and actually help her.
Or even mildly validate where she was at.
That's it.
Mildly validate, oh, you're feeling triggered? That makes sense.
Yep. That's it.
No one did that. I did appreciate in between the sheets, Jasmine said, I am so disappointed in how I treated her in that moment. If I could go back and deal with that differently, I would have. I wish I could give her a hug. I really regret how I treated her at that time. We are seeing it kind of in real time as this is unfolding for us in the show. Things are going to unfold, and I hope that things get better for Ari. Justice for Ari at this point. I have really come around, and I'm seeing just like how traumatized and how beaten down she's been. And this all makes sense. Even the stuff that you go, ugh, no, all of that, there's a reason that that's happening. I really do feel for her. And you can see Benny didn't do anything. Benny wasn't a dick. Benny's not being reactive.
Nope.
But he's also doing literally nothing. And that isn't always a clue for everyone. He's checked out. Super bummer to watch that. They end up doing the rest of the breathing exercise. And they all have to yell out a primal scream. Again, the women seem really into it. And the men... not so much.
Yeah.
Not really into it. My favorite part of it was at the very beginning. Florian and Stacy are getting set up to do it. And she's like, oh, I like learning new things. I like these new techniques that we're getting.
Yeah.
I want to feel my power. And Florian, it was delightful. He goes, I'm not so much curious to try new things, to be honest with you. He's like, no, I'm not. Mm-mm.
No.
And he's just like not into it at all. Could care less. I think he negatively impacted the success of that therapy session with his lighthearted goofiness and approach to the whole thing. I just love Florian right now.
I do too.
I think I might hate him next week. Coming up, I actually don't have much written down for them at all, other than Stacy, again, looked really good. She was dressed like a Spice Girl. She had bell-bottom hiking pants on, a sports bra, and her hair looked incredible. What are you doing in the middle of the desert? This is not where you're supposed to be. But Darcy's gonna come show up. They're all having a very fancy dinner together, and Darcy comes. Who knows with the editing? But at one point, it's like Florian has to choose who he's going to back in things, and he feels very torn between the two sisters. And Stacy's like, you choose me. You pick your wife. It's not hard. It seems like an explosive conversation. I cannot see the logic in it. I think it's just this way too enmeshed group of people. Family is the most important thing, but I think that they have overdone it, and it's turned into something it's really whacked out.
Yeah. And then we get to meet Matt, Jasmine's side guy that she introduces as the man that she's going to have the relationship with, part of the open marriage, which she says, I found somebody. And I'm just scratching my head going, what? You found somebody while you're in therapy? Well,
this is Matt that she called at the beginning of therapy, who was like, Jasmine, you've got to give it the old college try for your marriage. But there's so many men that would want to be with you. Like, all right, Matt.
And then
Gino and Jasmine, we didn't see much of. It looks like they're all going to dinner that evening. She and Gino are relaxing probably before dinner time. And she's like, so Gino, what happened? No one believes you. You didn't really answer truthfully at the thing that you've done to hurt me. So why don't you tell me what you did? And this is where my husband, Matt, and I got really angry at the show again, because who knows? What is it? She's like, I know. He has not been faithful. Not my Gino. I love that. I wish I could make that a ringtone. Not my Gino.
Yeah.
But what was it? What did he do?
I wonder if he online cheated, because I don't think he has enough gumption to go out and physically cheat with an actual person, because he watches so much porn. I wonder if he just got on a website, and I don't know. And then preview for next week, the ED, the erectile dysfunction. I wonder if that has something to do with why he won't have sex with her.
That's one of the theories that got brought up. Yeah. So he's brought up Viagra several times in this show, and how he uses Viagra when he's just hanging out with himself. And apparently, the little snippets that we get, they've only had actual sex like 8 times. In the several years they've been together. What is going on? What have they been doing? Then you see her before dinner. She's in a hotel room with Julia and Sophie.
Stacy.
Was it Stacy? And they are FaceTiming with that guy, Matt, this new guy. And she is giddy. And it's like when you were talking to your boyfriend on the phone with your friends in high school, it was appalling. So clearly she's already been hooking up with him. They talk to him and try and convince him to take off his shirt. He was like, oh, I was just working out. Luckily, I got my shirt on in time before I got on FaceTime with you this time. I think it's inappropriate when men go running outside without shirts on. I think men should have shirts on all the time, unless they're in the shower. I don't want to see a men's nipple ever. If I am not allowed to have my nipples out, then why do they get to have theirs? Put your nipples away.
Yeah.
Especially if your name is is Matt. Not my husband, Matt. Matt, who's messing around with
and
Jasmine.
Who is the one asking to have him take his shirt off? Julia.
Ugh. And she's into it. Even as I am fully on Team Jasmine, I would be, Jasmine, the fuck?
I know.
No, I'm out. I don't want to have anything to do with it. A thing that I saw on the internet as I was scrolling, and they were saying, if your best friend was cheating on their spouse and you found out about it, would you make them tell their spouse? Would you tell their spouse? Or would you go, not my business? We know clearly that Julia is on the not my business, but tell me everything train. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know what my answer would be. I guess it would matter my relationship with the individual people, but also like mostly I would be, I don't think this is cool. I don't want to know anything about it. Don't talk to me about this. And you get that figured out. And like, we're probably not cool until you sort that out and can prove it to me. I don't want to be involved in any of that.
Yeah.
What's your stance on team? Do you tell?
Oh, yeah.
Who do you tell? Or do you stay out of it?
Oh, no, I would make my friend tell the spouse. You can tell me. I'm okay for you to tell me, but I would be telling my friend to tell the spouse. And then I would probably give my friend an ultimatum saying, by X time, if you don't tell him, I am. That's what I would be doing.
I have friends that I have not liked their significant other, or don't have a relationship with their significant other. So I would probably, for them, just be on the side of, don't tell me about it. I don't want to know. But we have friends that I'm friends with both of them. And then I'd be like, you have to tell them. If you don't tell them, I'm going to tell them.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Because I tell Matt everything. So if Matt knows everything, then now he knows that his friend is being cheated on. So look, now it's a ticking time bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
Yep.
I guess I'm just broadcasting. Don't tell me your darkest secrets.
Right.
If you robbed a bank, I'm going to tattle.
That's
I'm
it.
not the person to tell. If you're cheating on your wife, I'm calling her.
Me too. That's it, people.
Yeah, I was really hoping this week was going to be awesome, but then everything that was going to be awesome is actually just teased into next week.
I know. Damn it.
I should produce this show. I would do a better job.
God dang it. And we're already, 11 in right now. 11.
Yep. Until next time, everyone, I hope that you are able to procure the Post Malone Oreos.
Cookies.
It's going to make your week so good. It's going to make about 45 minutes of your week so good.
Until you can buy another package.
Until you can get another package. I almost bought 2 when we went to the store, and I went, no, I'm going to be out of control if I buy 2. And I bought it yesterday.
Oh.
And I'm already 2 of the fudge. I'm 2 of the 3 rows empty.
Oh.
I only have 1 row left. I got that last night.
Oh.
And Matt only had 2 of them. This is bad. They're so good.
Oh. Okay.
They're so good, everyone.
All right.
And apparently so is Post Malone.
Yes. So look into that.
I'll Google him a little bit.
Do it.
All right.
You'll love it.
Well, I miss you so bad.
I miss you so bad.
And thank you, everyone, for listening to us.
Yes. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Happy Valentine's.
Mm-hmm.
Lovers.
Okay. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.